Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and I'm back with another video. Today we're looking at what I believe is probably the best solo speed farmer in the game. So this is probably the solo XP meta for season 22. This is the PTR, things are subject to change. I don't really see any reason why Bone Spear would change, because what makes this OP as hell this season is the 4th cube slot, which obviously won't be here in the future. Now, we can do 105 in like 2 minutes, 2 minutes 15 with 800 Paragon. Now, I'm going to show you the footage in the background. The first time I get so excited that we're doing a 105 in 2 minutes, I shit myself and I accidentally miss my bone armor on the boss. The next rift, I think we missed the bone armor on the boss twice, and we do actually take a death. I don't know whether that was just lag or if I was just playing crappy and missed it. But then there are some more extra rifts, again, really fast, kind of 2.5 minutes on a good map, easy, no problem. 3.5 minutes on a bad map, because this just moves so quickly. It's got incredible damage. It's actually quite tough and tanky for a necro. You'll see some of these maps I think have got like grotesque and spear chuckers and all sorts of shit, but we still managed to blast it. Now, I personally don't like using the Briggs Wrath for the speeds. If you wanted to just blast stuff really quickly, I think this is probably the setup I would use, but by all means that's a swap that we can do. But anyway, I'm going ahead of myself. If you're new around here, do consider subscribing. I've got plenty more D3 content on the way for season 22. Thumbs up always brightens my day. It's just phenomenal to get a necro build this good. Really excited for it. It's going to be very hard not to roll a necro next season at some point. Maybe not, maybe even at the start. Yeah, okay, cool. Let's jump into it. Right, so Bone Spear. This is going to be the starting set. Now, it sounds amazing that this is the starting set, but you've got one real pig of a piece to get here, which is the Haunted Visions. This is going to take a while to pop out. It is pretty rare. But once you get the pieces, the 2-piece Simulacrum no longer take damage. They gain all the runes. That's really nice. There's some really useful runes. Now, the cooldown is refreshed when you die, so if you do screw up in this build, it's not like a Land of the Dead one where, you're effed until your cycle comes back. As soon as you die, you just pop Simulacrum again, and that's it. You're absolutely smack back at it. Now, the 4-piece Simulacrum damage, when we got Simulacrum's damage we take is reduced by 50%. The remaining 50% damage is then split between us. Now, because we get every rune, we've actually got 2 of them. So again, the 50% remaining damage is then split 3 ways between all of us. So it makes you super tanky. Now, the 6-piece has been reworked for this season. Oh no, it's just the braces, wasn't it? It got reworked the other time. 10,000% damage model on the Bone Spear, but importantly, Simulacrums do treble. So we don't hit very hard, they hit much harder. They hit 3 times harder on the base multiplier on the 6-piece. Now, new for this season is this particular braces here. Now, don't freak out because these are primals. You're going to put these in a cube because Nems obviously don't roll on any range. So super easy to get an ancient pair of Nems. Necro's only got 3 elemental rolls, cold, physical, or poison. So an ancient Nems will go here. You'll have this 500% modifier in here. But obviously, I was fortunate to get primals, so we're going to use them. Now, Bone Spear from the Simulacrum deal 500% increased damage. So they already hit 3 times harder than you do. They then hit another 500% harder. So basically your Bone Spear tickles, there's Shrek's, is what I was going for. Maltura's Petrified Spike in the cube, again a 700% modifier on the Bone Spear. It doubles the essence cost, which does suck a little bit, but we've got a huge essence pool. And basically the limiting factor for this build, because we don't have a generator, is can you floor the boss with your essence pool? And if you can, then you're playing at the right level. And if you're not, if you're missing it, you then will have to take a death. It will refresh your essence and you'll kill the boss. So you want to kind of find that. That's your natural limit with this. Now, we do have convention of elements, so you're going to time on the boss only. Don't worry about this during the rift. You'll dump out the damage anyway, because we've got tons of area damage. But on the boss, which is generally a single target, you need to really be DPSing through cold. So there's only 3 elements, so it's basically physical, poison, and then cold. Now, if you can time your bone armor proc with the start of cold, again, you will stun the boss, you'll activate your crispins, which gives us double damage and then treble this effect against anything CC'd, which obviously the stun is, and then you shouldn't have any problems. It just takes a little bit of practice. It sounds way more complicated than it is, but if you're, as I say, popping the boss with this one essence pool, then that's the right difficulty level. Scythe of the Cycle, we get up to 400% extra damage on Bone Spear, provided we have Bone Armor active. It takes 4 seconds off. Now you can spam out, because we've gone for the cold room, we've got super high attack speed, you can spam these things out like crazy. You will see in the footage I overspam it a few times because I still haven't quite learned how many that I can spit out. But Bone Armor is on a super small cooldown. It's only 10 seconds. We're not gearing for cooldown at all, guys. You don't really need any cooldown, but you just pop it again, and obviously this modifier is back up. So again, that's another little thing that you need to learn to manage, but once you do crack it, once you do get on top of it, it is pretty good. The Haunted Visions is absolutely essential, because this will mean that the simulacrum last forever, so they don't disappear. If you take this off, they disappear after like 20 seconds. 120-second cooldown with 20% uptime is not very good, because that is your damage reduction and that's your DPS, so you really will struggle to run this build at all until you find this necklace. Now, one of the good things is it defaults with a socket, and I want to say it defaults with a crit, but that might not be right, but it's always got a socket, so it's not particularly hard to get a good one. If you find enough of them in the season, you will get a nice one. We've got the Shadow Hook in the 4th cube slot. This is another modifier for the Bone Spear, so this is basically take your essence pool divided by 2, and that is your damage mod for this. So max essence in Paragon in your passives as a secondary roll on your scythe, as a secondary roll on your offhand, obviously is super nice as well. Gems, again, we're just going full damage with the gems. Screw it, why the hell not? YOLO. Bane of the Trapped, we proc this at range with the Cold Bone Spear, so extra 40+% there. Bane of the Powerful, the first elite kill is a little slow because you don't have this modifier up yet, but again, 20% extra damage once you do, and generally 15% extra damage against elites, and damage reduction, super cool. And then Zeiss, the further away we are, we hit harder. Now, you'll see in the footage we fire these down corridors and stuff. They're like exocet missiles because we've got so much move speed, we almost catch them up. But yeah, the further away you are, the more damage you do. Again, bear that in mind with the boss. Ideally, you want to teleport away through cold with your stun teleport through cold is your ideal, but you'll get the hang of it, trust me. We've got Nems to speed up the rifts for us, which is pretty good. We're going to take some toughness items. So we've got a Dainty's Binding, 50% damage reduction. We've got a Curse. We're just going to go for the aura here, guys, just to make this super lazy. And then other than that, we've got the Lost Time offhand, which is going to basically give us move speed. So up to 50% move speed, because obviously we are using a cold skill. Now, Stuart's Greaves are amazing for this build. 100% move speed for 10 seconds after teleporting. I have to have a drink, guys, my throat's gone. Sorry about that, I must have COVID. Yeah, these are amazing, 100% move speed, which is really nice. Now, you want Bone Spear damage on here, very important, 15% roll. And then, where else do we get Bone Spear? You can get it on your helm. Now, obviously, crit and Bone Spear, I think the 1000 vitality from an Ancient Helm might be a little tough to swallow, but you by all means can try it. Now, if you want to know which is better, crit chance or the Bone Spear roll, if you load your build into D3 Planet, it will tell you for you. You can just obviously swap the rolls around on there. Resource cost gem here means we can spit out more Bone Spears, means more damage. And then armor gems, so either rubies or emeralds, either is fine, just to add up the armor for the toughness for the necro, which again helps us pretty tanky. And then finally, Rogue in the cube, just to round out the bonuses. Now, the Crispies defaults with attack speed. Attack speed's fine, you don't need to worry too much, but this does as well, so either one of those will have attack speed on. Looking at the skills, Bone Spear, Crystallization, we basically get a stacking attack speed, so it's up to 30% attack speed. So I don't know what the breakpoints are for Bone Spear, but obviously you're presumably getting a lot of extra damage because you're moving through at least one breakpoint, if not maybe two. Aura Frailty, enemies will die at 15% health, provided they've got this curse on them. It works off gold pickup radius, so obviously with the Paragon changes, this has become more powerful because the radius is now bigger. Bone Armor Dislocation, we need this to activate Scythe of the Cycle. It is an on-demand stun for the Crispin's proc, and at 10 stacks we also get 30% damage reduction, so again, very handy keeping our Necro alive. Devour Cannibalize, this will get essence back We obviously don't have a generator in this spec at all, so essence will be mainly restored from this. When we kill something, it turns into a corpse. We numlock this, we auto-consume the corpses, and it basically just fills our essence back up as well. We take this in addition with the Dark Reaping passive, 2% essence per kill. So whenever we kill something, 2% of our essence, and we then get a corpse, which we auto-consume for 10 essence as well. Simulacrum, we get all these runes, so it doesn't matter which one you pick. Now, Cursed Form is nice because what this means is that when we do get the Aura of Frailty on something, we get all of these base curses. So, you know, reduce move speed and reduce damage from enemies on Decrepify. Again, more damage reduction. Leech gives us a bit of sustain as well. So again, pretty good. Reservoir will double our essence pool, which is why mine sat just under 660. Self-sacrifice. This needs an icon because you never know when it goes off. In theory, if it had an icon, you could see that your simulacrum had sacrificed themselves. You could then pop the ability and you could basically, you know, go through this again and you know, get yourself out of trouble. But what tends to happen if you do die is they'll just disappear. You won't know they've disappeared. You do no damage. You have no damage reduction, and yeah, your death is fairly imminent after that. Blood Debt we don't care about because we're not spending life, and then Blood and Bone is the one that basically gives us the 2 simulacrum. It does say reduce the duration, but obviously with the necklace we've got, you can forget that. Maximum essence, so overwhelming essence is obviously important for the Shadow Hook. Dark Reaping we've covered. Standalone, 100% extra armor minus the 2 for the minions, so I'm guessing that's 80% extra armor. And then Final Service, because you know it is still necro. You know, you will see in the 2.5 minute speed you're gonna use this. You move so quickly. One thing with grotesques and hallways is you'll probably kill them before you get, you know, you'll kill them almost off screen. So by the time you're running into them, you can sometimes run yourself into an explosion. So don't take that off. But hopefully the footage has demonstrated just how absolutely chunky this is. Now, I have tried the Briggs Wrath and swapping this over to Marked by Death, or not Marked by Death, that's a Demon Hunter thing, isn't it? Early Grave. So the idea with this is you would just basically, you'd click it and it would suck all the enemies around into that one part. Now, it pixelates them pretty well, and obviously with lots of area damage, that does mean that the Bone Spear hits super hard. The reason I don't really like it is, one, I have to click buttons, and as I've said in the past, I'm a super lazy bastard, so I don't like doing that. And also, it's not very helpful for the boss. If you spawn a boss with no ads, because you've dropped your COE, it's just so much harder to kill the boss. You don't have that cold window basically to burst the boss down, but by all means you can do. I suspect going higher with speeds, so if you're wanting to do like 5-minute speeds or 4-minute speeds, this becomes much more important because you will use this in pushing, because you just need to stack those enemies up. But for the 2.5-3 minute super mega fast blasters, you know, this is the kind of spec that I think is pretty good. And obviously, guys, as I say, it was all 800 Paragon. You just need to put your points into max essence. Now, for stats wise, attack speed is fairly decent on the speed build, so don't be too worried about getting it. But again, you're likely to pair this with your pushback, so you know, ideally it would be quad factor gloves, double crit area damage and attack speed, probably area damage just on the shoulders. I don't think there's anything else really, you know, you want to worry about. Cooldown isn't bad because it's more bone armor activations, but it's not something you necessarily need to gear for. Again, resource cost wouldn't be the end of the world because it would be more bone spears. As I say, crit or bone spear on the helm. Just probably defensive stats on your chest piece, maybe reduced elite damage if you can get it. The dainties, try and get near 50% on this. It's much more important to get a non-ancient one with 50%, I think, than an ancient one with 40. But again, just do your best. It's a hard item to find, to be honest, for Necro. The boots, don't sweat the secondary too much, but obviously just upgrade it through the season. Obviously, the nearer you get to 100%, the faster. Main thing on there is obviously high intelligence roll, but importantly, something you can roll bone spear damage on, 15%. Cold on your braces because we're using the cold skill, obviously. Again, ideally cold on your amulet, but again, if you're going to use your push stuff, you're probably going to push with poison, so double crit and, you know, area damage is, you know, perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable. For your lost time, again, I've got no crit chance on here, but ideally it would be crit chance and area damage, as well as damage roll and intelligence. Again, the secondary, if you can get it to the 10%, then great, but max essence here, very important. Weapon wise, I guess ideal would be damage percent, area damage, and attack speed. But again, main stat is fine. And again, secondary roll, you know, it's fairly tight, 350 to 400. And there's only 4 size impulse, so it's super easy to get a nice one. Just keep upgrading them in the cube until a really good one pops out. But I think that is probably it. It's so much fun to play, guys. It's going to absolutely dominate next season. I don't know if I'm going to roll Necro. I'm very tempted, because once you do get this set up, once you do get over this hump here, you know, it's gonna be so easy. Now I will do a Necro GR100 guide, so 0 to 100. We'll talk a lot about this necklace, what to do until you find it, and some strategies, but that's another topic for another day. I've been the Filthy Casual. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Bone Spear smashes. Can't wait for next season, guys. Take it easy. Peace.